Karen and Bob did everything right. Bob, 38 years on the factory floor. Karen, a nurse for 34 years. 2 kids raised. Mortgage paid off. Retirement account. Solid. They thought they were ready. Then the first year of retirement hit. Property tax bill. $8,400 a year. That's $700 a month, just to live in a house they already own, free and clear. Utilities went up 23% in 2 years. Car insurance, $190 a month, because they live in New Jersey. And the grocery bill that used to feel normal? Now it felt like a punch in the stomach every single week, so Karen sits down at the kitchen table one night in November. Calculator out. She runs the numbers, runs them again, stares at the screen. They don't add up. They never will again. Bob walks in, sees her face, doesn't need to ask. Maybe we should have left, he says quietly. She doesn't answer, because he's right. Here's the thing. Karen and Bob aren't a made-up story. Right now, in America, there are millions of couples exactly like them. People who did everything right, worked hard, saved carefully, and are still losing, not because they planned badly, but because nobody told them the one thing that matters most in retirement. Where you live matters more than how much you saved. Read that again. Today, I'm going to show you 10 states where Karen and Bob could live on the exact same income and actually have money left over at the end of every month. Real cities, real numbers, no fluff. And number 1 on this list? That's where Karen and Bob moved 3 months ago. Bob says it's the best decision of his life. Karen hasn't touched that calculator since. If you want to know exactly what they did, stay until the end. I'll walk you through it step by step. And if this is your first time here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We drop honest, data-driven retirement content every single week. No ads disguised as advice, just real numbers and real answers. Now let's get into it. Number 10, Georgia, 145. Georgia. Sweet tea, front porches, and a tax code that actually likes retirees. Let's talk numbers first because that's why you're here. Georgia has no tax on Social Security income. 0. The state also offers a retirement income exclusion, up to $65,000 per person for residents over 65. That means if you and your spouse are both retired, you can exclude up to $130,000 in combined retirement income from state taxes. $130,000. Tax-free. Let that sink in. Average cost of living sits about 8% below the national average. Not dramatic, but consistent. Rent in smaller Georgia cities like Valdosta, Rome, or Dalton runs $800 to $1,100 a month for a decent 2-bedroom. Home prices in those areas? Still under $200,000 in many neighborhoods. Healthcare access is solid. Georgia has a strong network of rural hospitals and medical centers. And major cities like Atlanta and Savannah are never more than a few hours away if you need specialist care. Climate. Okay, look. Georgia summers are not for the faint of heart. It gets hot. It gets humid. It gets hot and humid at the same time, which is its own special kind of punishment. You will walk outside in July and immediately regret every decision that led you here. But here's the trade. Winters are mild. Snowstorms are rare. And 8 months of the year, the weather is genuinely pleasant. Picture this. Early October morning. You're sitting on a porch that wraps around your house. The air smells like pine, and someone's cooking something. The neighbor waves from across the yard. Your property tax bill for the whole year is less than what your old New Jersey bill was for 3 months. That's Georgia. Not perfect, but affordable in ways that add up fast. Number 9. Tennessee, $430. Tennessee has no state income tax. None. Not even on investment income or Social Security. Let me say that differently. If your retirement income comes from Social Security, a pension, a 401k, or investment accounts, Tennessee takes none of it at the state level. That is not normal. That is a big deal. Cost of living runs about 10 to 12% below the national average statewide. In cities like Cookeville, Morristown, or Clarksville, places that don't make the travel brochures but absolutely make the retirement spreadsheets, you can rent a solid 2-bedroom for $850 to $1,100 a month. Homes in those areas still hover around $200,000 to $250,000. Property taxes in Tennessee are among the lowest in the Southeast. And the state offers additional property tax relief programs for low-income seniors, freezes, reductions, the works. Healthcare infrastructure has improved dramatically over the past decade. Mid-sized Tennessee cities now have full hospital systems, specialist networks, and senior care facilities that would have been unthinkable there 20 years ago. Now, Nashville. Let's get this out of the way. Nashville is expensive. It's been discovered. Bachelorette parties have claimed it. Do not retire to Nashville expecting affordability. You won't find it. But Tennessee is a big state, and most of it is still priced like Tennessee used to be priced. Could you live on $1,500 a month in Cookeville, Tennessee, comfortably? Honestly? Yes. With a car payment included. That's the state of play in Tennessee right now. Number 8. North Carolina, 7 o'clock. North Carolina is doing something quietly impressive. It's staying affordable while everyone else around it loses their mind with prices. Social Security is exempt from state income tax. The flat state income tax rate is 4.75% and dropping. It's been legislatively scheduled to fall further over the next few years, which means North Carolina is actively getting cheaper to retire in over time. Cost of living about 8% below national average. But the real story is the variety. Mountains in the west, Asheville area, though Asheville itself has gotten pricey. Piedmont in the middle, cities like Hickory, Statesville, Burlington, all deeply affordable. Coast in the east, yes, coastal living in America, at prices that still make sense. Hickory. North Carolina is one of the most underrated retirement towns in America right now. Median home price around $230,000. Rent for a 2-bedroom, $900 to $1,100. Full hospital system. Low crime. Mountains an hour away. Charlotte 2 hours away if you need a major city fix. Weather? 4 distinct seasons. Real winters, but not brutal ones. Summers are warm but manageable compared to the Deep South. The state gets a dusting of snow maybe 5 times a year. Enough to feel festive, not enough to wreck your life. Be honest. Would you trade your $2,800 rent for a $950 apartment in a quiet North Carolina town if everything else stayed the same? Drop it in the comments. Number 7. South Carolina, 9:15. South Carolina decided to be neighborly about taxes. Social Security, not taxed. Pension income, up to $15,000 excluded per person. Military retirement, fully exempt. And if you're over 65, you get an additional $15,000 deduction on top of that. The state is basically standing at the border with a sign that says, "Retirees, come in, we'll take less of your money." Cost of living about 9% below national average. The upstate region, Spartanburg, Greenville, Anderson, is where the retirement value is stacked right now. Greenville in particular has turned into a genuine small city with restaurants, arts, healthcare, and a downtown that actually has things in it. Average rent there for a 2-bedroom, $1,100 to $1,350. Still manageable. Myrtle Beach is the obvious coastal draw. But fair warning, Myrtle Beach has gotten expensive relative to what it used to be, and traffic during summer is the kind of traffic that makes you question the concept of beach vacations entirely. Smaller coastal towns? Conway, Pawleys Island, Murrells Inlet, those still have value and access to the coast without the full Myrtle Beach premium. Climate is similar to North Carolina. Hot summers, mild winters. The occasional hurricane threat on the coast, which is worth factoring into your insurance costs before you commit. Number 6, Florida, 1115. Florida, the retirement capital of America. And for good reason, even if the reasons have gotten more complicated lately. No state income tax, no tax on Social Security, no tax on pension income. That's the Florida headline, and it's still true. What's also true, Florida has gotten expensive, parts of it dramatically so. Miami, Tampa, Orlando, the entire coast from Fort Lauderdale to West Palm Beach. These places have seen rent and home prices climb at a pace that has caught a lot of retirees off guard. But Florida is also a very large state, and inland Florida, northern Florida, cities like Ocala, Gainesville, Lakeland, Pensacola, these markets have not followed the coastal surge. Ocala, in particular, is worth your attention. Median home price around $270,000. Rent for a 2-bedroom, $1,200 to $1,400. The Village's retirement community is right there, if that's your vibe. Warm weather year-round. No state income tax on anything. The trade-offs are real. Hurricane risk, humidity that is not a joke, property insurance that has become genuinely painful in coastal areas, and summer heat that makes Georgia summers look mild. But if you want no income tax and warm winters, and you're willing to go inland, Florida still delivers. Picture this. January morning, 72 degrees. You're drinking coffee in a screened-in lanai while everyone you know is shoveling snow. Your federal tax return just deposited. Your state owed you nothing. That's still Florida. The math still works if you choose the right part of the state. Number 5, Alabama, 1300. Alabama is the retirement secret that people keep accidentally skipping over. Social Security, not taxed. Pension income from government and military sources, fully exempt. Private pensions, also largely exempt. The state income tax starts low, and the property taxes are among the absolute lowest in the entire country. The average effective property tax rate in Alabama is 0.41%. For comparison, New Jersey's is 2.49%. That's not a rounding error. That's a different financial life. Cost of living roughly 13% below national average. Cities like Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, Dothan, and Florence offer legitimate mid-sized city amenities, hospitals, restaurants, airports, cultural events, at prices that feel like they're from a different decade. Huntsville specifically has been growing fast. It's got NASA, a booming tech sector, and a revitalized downtown. Median home price around $300,000. But the surrounding suburbs and smaller towns within 30 minutes, still priced under $200,000. Climate: hot summers, mild winters. The Gulf Coast, Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, is beautiful and still relatively affordable compared to the Florida Gulf Coast. Is Alabama going to show up on any coolest cities list? No, probably not. But at 0.41% property tax, it doesn't need to. Number 4, Kentucky, 1445. Kentucky doesn't tax Social Security income, but that's just the beginning. Pension income, up to $31,110 excluded per person per year. If you're a married couple both receiving pension income. That's over $62,000 shielded from state tax. The flat state income tax is 4%, low and structured simply. Property taxes, among the lowest nationally. The homestead exemption for seniors knocks a significant chunk off your assessed home value, and local assistance programs for low-income seniors add additional relief on top. Cost of living runs about 15 to 18% below the national average, and that gap shows up in everything: groceries, utilities, housing, services. Bowling Green, Paducah, Richmond, Elizabethtown. These are real livable cities with real amenities and housing prices that still make sense. A two-bedroom apartment in Bowling Green runs $800 to $1,050 a month. A starter home, under $180,000. Summers are warm and humid. Welcome to the South. Winters are real but not severe. The state is genuinely beautiful, particularly eastern Kentucky in the fall, which is the kind of beautiful that makes people pull over their cars. Here's the honest downside. Economic opportunity for younger people is limited in many Kentucky communities, which means your kids and grandkids may not live nearby. That matters more in retirement than most people realize until they're in it. But for pure retirement dollar value, Kentucky is hard to beat. Number 3. Mississippi, 1630. Mississippi gets overlooked. Honestly, it gets dismissed. And that is a financial mistake. Mississippi has the lowest cost of living of any state in America. Full stop. About 15 to 17% below the national average across the board. Housing, groceries, utilities, healthcare out of pocket. Everything runs lower here. Social Security, not taxed. Retirement income, not taxed. Mississippi is one of only a handful of states that fully exempts retirement income from state income tax across the board. Property taxes are low. The homestead exemption for seniors is generous. And home prices, a 3-bedroom house in a solid Mississippi neighborhood for under $180,000 is not unusual. Rent for a 2-bedroom runs $750 to $950 in most mid-sized cities. Hattiesburg and Starkville both have universities, which means better cultural amenities, more restaurants, younger energy, and good healthcare infrastructure than you might expect from cities their size. Now let's be real. Mississippi has real challenges. Some areas have limited healthcare access, infrastructure varies significantly by region, and summers are brutally, aggressively hot. The heat here isn't just uncomfortable, it's personal. It finds you. But if your retirement math doesn't work where you are right now, Mississippi might be the state that makes it work. The numbers don't lie. Number 2. Texas, 1830. Texas has no state income tax. You already knew that. But let's go deeper. Texas also has no tax on Social Security, no tax on pension income at the state level. And for homeowners over 65, Texas law allows a property tax freeze. Your school district property taxes cannot increase as long as you live in that home. Your property taxes stop aging when you do. The cost of living story in Texas is complicated. Houston, Dallas, Austin, expensive. Austin especially has gone through a price explosion over the past 5 years that has genuinely shocked longtime residents. But Texas is enormous, and the affordable Texas, Lubbock, Amarillo, Wichita Falls, Abilene, Tyler, Beaumont, is still very much intact. Lubbock, Texas, let me give you the numbers. Median home price around $220,000. 2-bedroom apartment, $950 to $1,150. A functioning city with hospitals, universities, restaurants, and a regional airport. No state income tax. Property tax freeze after 65. The downside that nobody glosses over: Texas summers are genuinely extreme. Not inconvenient. Extreme. Triple-digit temperatures for weeks at a time in some regions. If you have any heat-related health concerns, this is a serious consideration, not a footnote. But for cold weather survivors who are done with winter, Texas offers warmth, space, low taxes, and room to breathe in a way that's hard to find at this price point anymore. Number 1. Where Karen and Bob went, 2030. You stayed. Good. Because this is the part that matters. Remember Karen and Bob? They spent weeks researching, ran spreadsheets, visited 3 states, talked to locals, checked healthcare access, crime rates, proximity to their daughter in Georgia. They moved to Cookeville, Tennessee, population 35,000, nestled in the Cumberland Plateau, 1 hour from Nashville if they need it, 2 hours from Chattanooga. Here's what their financial life looks like now. 2-bedroom apartment, $975 a month, down from $2,100 in New Jersey. Property taxes on their new home, $1,200 a year, down from $8,400. State income tax on their retirement income, 0. Tennessee takes nothing. Car insurance dropped by $60 a month just from the zip code change. Groceries, they estimate about $280 a month less than before. In total, Karen and Bob freed up over $1,400 a month in their retirement budget. Not by earning more, not by cutting back, just by choosing a different zip code. Karen told me she sat down with that calculator again last week. For the first time in 3 years, the numbers added up. Bob took up fishing. He's not very good at it yet, but he has the time to get better. That's the whole point. You don't need more money. You need to stop giving it to the wrong state. So that's the list. 10 states where your retirement income actually works in your favor instead of working against you. Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi, Texas, and the place where Karen and Bob finally got their numbers to add up. Cookeville, Tennessee. Now here's what I want you to do. Pick the state on this list that surprised you the most and drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you know someone who's planning retirement right now, share this video with them. It might be the most useful thing they see this week. Next week, we're going deeper. I'm going to show you the 10 specific cities inside these states where your Social Security check stretches the furthest, with exact rent prices, healthcare ratings, and crime data. The kind of breakdown you won't find in a travel magazine. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. And if you're sitting there thinking, maybe I'm in the wrong state too, the answer is probably yes. But now you know where to look. We'll see you next week on State Report.